Welcome everybody to the third and final part of inspection service and defects. So today we're going to be finishing off the brake pads, first axle brake pad change. So as you can see, we're just going to get the vehicle jacked up off the ground so we can get the wheels off. If you haven't already, please go back and look at part 1 and 2 of this. So we can just get these wheel nut indicators off. And we get the big boy air gun in there, inch drive, get these wheel nuts undone. They're 33mm wheel nuts. And there we go. As you can see, guys, there's the brake pads. Now, this side was not the worst worn side. These have worn unevenly, but as you'll see in a minute, once we get the brake pads out, they have started to break up and that as well. I think these were on about 28%. So just need a little 10mm spanner in the back there. We're just going to de-adjust the caliper. Plenty of ratchets and winding the pistons all the way back in so we can get the new pads in. Oh, there we go, just a little slip there. Now we can see the piston going backwards as on ratchet and the adjuster. Also, it is quite important on these, especially the first axle, to check the caliper sliders because they do tend to wear quite quickly. But there, as you can see on them pads, I know that was quick, but they have actually started breaking up as well, so it definitely wants changing this side. However, the other side was on 16%. So we have a quick clean up of the carrier there, just a quick bit of emery cloth on the carrier. These weren't too bad, they're pretty clean, and the Renault Volvo calipers don't normally seize pads in. As you can see the old pads there, that was the other side. And now we're on to the next thing. So this is an inlet knock sensor. Sometimes these can be an absolute ball ache to change, other times they'll just fall out. But when they are a ball ache, the threads will pick up. So as you can see, behind them covers, down the back there with the wing, is down there. See, that's where it's located, and it goes all the way down the bottom here to this plate where the body of the knock sensor is. New one out of the bag, as you can see, there's all the anti-season lubricant there that happens to be all over the end of the sensor, so we're going to get that cleaned up before we put it in. And these are now remanufactured units as well, as you can see. So there we go, have that in there. The new one's all done, job's a good one. We'll come back to the rest of that later. So now we're going to be on to changing the sump, so we're going to need to bang the oil out. This is not due a periodic oil change, so we are keeping the oil, hence the clean tubs. But as you can see there, I had to use my 1/2-inch breaker bar and an extension pole to get the sump plug undone. Incredibly tight. As you can see there from that video, it's got a leak in the sump, and it has cracked. So just pulling the oil feed pipe off there and put a bit of tissue in that just to stop it dripping on my head. I'm going to quickly whiz round, carefully undoing all the sump bolts. As you can see, there we go, we have the sump off. There's the bottom of the engine there. So I haven't shown it here yet, but I have fitted a new sump gasket as Renault recommend, and I have covered it with red grease as well, just to stop that leaking. And we also clean off the silicone sealant from the gaps between the timing plate and the rest of the block. Just give them a quick nip up with the air gun, then I'll go round by hand and tighten them all by hand, make sure they're all tight and not too tight. There we go, new sump is on. We'll just get the last bolt in up there, that's the worst one. Quickly go around, just wind them in with the gun, and then I will go around and tighten them up by hand with my ratchet, as you can see. Once they're all tight, we'll just finish fitting the oil filler pipe and the dipstick back in. These new sumps also come with the sump level sensor in them, so we haven't got to worry about swapping them over anymore. I think they had issues with people over tightening the bolts when they're changing the oil level sensor, and that was potentially causing cracks in the sump. Then we're going to do our brake test after changing the brake pads, just to make sure everything's working rightly and make sure we cover our backside. We're going to do the job, got to do it right from start to finish. And if this goes down the road and the customer says the front brakes failed on him, at least I have done everything in my power to say that them brakes upon leaving the workshop were working correctly. Like a brake test, nice easy time. And then we'll get it back into the workshop, do the final retorque, refit the wheel nut covers, indicators. Then we're just going to plug the computer back in after greasing the fifth wheel, get some grease on there. And we are back to Tech Tool. We're going to delete the fault codes. We are going to reset the NOx sensor parameters. Then we're going to run an exhaust analysis after treatment test, and just to confirm that NOx sensor is working and there's no other faults. Last thing we want is this coming back in with another engine warning light on. So we're going to go for a complete SCR test, just again to cover our backsides and all eventualities. I know that that vehicle has left the workshop fully functioning. There you go, as you can see, tick, 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 100% conversion rate. Everyone's happy, job's a good one, send it. Don't forget to follow and like.